Not too bad. All right, welcome back to the Bucs Bonus Show. Our pal Mark Cook from PewterReport.com shows what we're doing here in the second week now. We've gone through the first week of preseason games, and Mark, we just saw the numbers on the quarterbacks there. This was good in a lot of ways for the Bucs. Now we turn the page towards the Titans, and what happens on Saturday, Andy? They come out practice, and it's like, ugh, not that good.
Yeah, Saturday, Dirk Cutter said they really started out sluggish, finished the day a little bit better, but how concerning is this right now heading into the second preseason game?
Not at all. Look, the preseason and training camp is a grind. It's a grind for us reporters that are out there on a daily basis. I can assure you Saturday morning when I got up, I was blah as well, and I didn't really want to go. So I understand, you know, these guys are still recovering. They got beat up a little bit Thursday night, so that makes sense. But once they got in the indoor facility after the weather changed, they went indoors, the fans get loud, it kind of got them juiced up, and practice ended on a better note. So but there's really no concern.
Now, Dirk Cutter would say that we're all sluggish every day in the media, and I'm not going to argue with him. All right, we're going to Nashville now for 2 practices with the Titans, and they're going to play on Saturday. This is something the Bucs did last year with the Jacksonville Jaguars. It worked out very well from them. They end up playing very well in the game, and they got a lot out of the practices. Dirk Cutter believes in this. What do you think we're going to see this week up there in Tennessee?
Well, if we base it on last year, one of these 2 teams is going to the AFC Championship game. I mean, that's what happened with Jacksonville last year. Dan and Annie, it was crazy last year. I was up there for that. Buccaneers really just dominated those 2 days. They also dominated that game. Yet it was Jacksonville who had an incredible season, and the Buccaneers were a little disappointed. So I don't know that you take a whole lot out of this week, but it is good for these guys to bang on somebody else besides their teammates and things like that. Look forward to hitting somebody in a different color uniform. But it's just good work, and it's a change of pace. I think it's important for the team to be able to do that, just to break that monotony so you don't have more Saturday sluggish days like the Buccaneers saw last weekend.
We didn't see DeSean Jackson a whole lot in the first preseason game as expected. He's in his second year with this team, kind of growing into even more of a leadership role, according to head coach Dirk Cutter. How important is, DeSean Jackson becoming even more of a leader on this team in his second year?
I think Dirk used the word street cred yesterday.
Yes, he did.
Not the hippest thing that he's ever said, but he said it. And you know what? It makes sense what he was talking about, because there's a natural respect for a guy who's performed the way that DeSean Jackson has in this league. He has superstar capabilities. He is one of the fastest, if not the fastest receivers in this league. And guys, I watch him after practice sometimes when he takes the pads off, and he spends almost every day working with the quarterbacks. He's really serious, I think, about improving over last year. I think it was a huge disappointment for everybody. The organization, Jameis Winston, who he and DeSean didn't connect very well, and DeSean personally, who missed the last game or 2 with an injury as well. So I think he really wants to rebound and prove that he's worth the amount of money that the Buccaneers are paying him.
Behind DeSean Jackson, behind the top 4, really, you have some receivers, rookies, who looked really good in that first game. And this is going to be a nice battle, depending on how many they keep, 5 or 6. A lot of guys competing for that spot. This turns out to what we think is going to be a pretty fun competition to watch.
You know, I mentioned it to somebody the other day. I can't remember which receiver it was. I think it was Adam Humphries. And I said, there's going to be guys cut that would have been starters when you first got here, or at least competing for playing time. And he said, absolutely. In fact, the guys that are going to end up getting cut, most likely are going to get signed by other teams. So they've really improved their depth there. And a guy like Sergio Bailey had a great game the other night. He had a great play on Saturday in practice, a touchdown. And, you know, he's one of those guys that you don't really think about. You have to pull the roster out to see who he is again. And but all he does is keep making plays. But Will Wilson's had a great camp. Justin Watson started off really slow, but they're really impressed with him. He was the rookie draft pick out of Penn. So there is a lot of talent at the receiver position on this football team. There's going to be some good football players cut.
Ryan Smith, a guy didn't have a great first preseason game, as you mentioned. Cuts will continue to happen throughout the preseason. But what's on the line for him this preseason? A lot of people out there on social media not big fans of Ryan Smith.
Yeah, Ryan right now, I think Scott Reynolds tweeted this during the game on Thursday night, he's the 5th best cornerback on this roster, and that's including 2 rookies ahead of him. You know, the thing I've noticed with Ryan this year in practice, and I've watched him a lot because he's been getting a lot of first-team reps on the outside opposite of where Brent Grimes plays, so over on the right-hand side. He's always seems to be in the right position, but he's not making plays on the ball. So again, it's a little different than last year when at times he wasn't even in the same zip code, right? This year, I see him closer. There was a play in the game the other night on a deep pass where if he'd have just turned his head around, he probably has an interception. If at the very least he knocks the ball down, instead it goes for a long completion. So he did have the game ceiling interception in that, but that was a gimme. Dan, you catch that ball. That was pretty easy.
Maybe.
You know, Annie for sure, but you might have Dan. But I think, I think Ryan Smith's a talented football player, but I think this team and this organization is just waiting for something to click with him because they see the tools that he has. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. If not, then he could be a casualty when the preseason's over.